But you see, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset.
Ever wonder what happens when a comedy legend throws a Molotov cocktail at the altar of woke culture? Buckle up. Dave Chappelle's about to burn it all down. Chappelle kicks things off by exposing the invisible chains woke culture clamps on. Artistic freedom. Daring to say what others won't. Chappelle unveils an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. You're never allowed to upset the alphabet people, his cheeky nickname for the LGBTQ+ community. He hints at a shared lesson with Kevin Hart, suggesting they both faced blowback for crossing this line, maybe even flirting with cancellation. By naming the taboo aloud, he turns it into a punchline, mocking the idea that a group can claim 20% of the alphabet and dictate art. This opening shot sets the stage. Woke culture's restrictions are a joke worth laughing at. His defiance shines through, promising a no-holds-barred ride ahead.
See, what I didn't realize at the time and what Kevin had to learn the hard way is we were breaking an unwritten and unspoken rule of show business. And if I say it, you'll know that I'm telling you the truth. The rule is that no matter what you do in your artistic expression, you are never, ever allowed to upset the alphabet people. You know who I mean. Those people that took 20% of the alphabet for themselves. I'd say the letters, but I don't want to conjure their anger. That's too late now. I'm talking about them L's and them B's and them G's and the T's.
Picking up where he left off, Chappelle doubles down with a weary rant about walking on eggshells. He leans into alphabet people again, feigning terror at their anger while smirking at the absurdity of it all. This builds on segment 1 by shifting from rule-breaking to its emotional toll. How exhausting it is to dodge offense at every turn. The link is clear. He's not just pointing out the rule, he's showing how it strangles creativity. His exaggerated dread ties back to the earlier jab, cementing his stance as a rebel who'd rather torch the rulebook than follow it. Chappelle pivots to personal tales, using them as a lens to probe woke culture's obsession with identity, revealing its bewildering demands.
He knew that I was the biggest Jim Carrey fan in the world. Now, I'm not going to go all into it, but Jim Carrey is talented in a way that you can't practice or rehearse. What a God-given talent. I was fascinated with him. And Norm knew that. And he called me up and he goes, Dave, he says, I'm doing a movie with Jim Carrey. Do you want to meet him? And I said, fuck, yes, I do. And it was the first time I could remember since my father died being excited. And the movie was called Man on the Moon. I didn't know any of this. And in this movie, Jim Carrey was playing another comedian I admired, the late, great Andy Kaufman. Yes, and Jim Carrey was so immersed in that role that from the moment he woke up to the time he went to bed at night, he would live his life as Andy Kaufman. I didn't know that. When they said cut, this nigga was still Andy Kaufman. So much so that everybody on the crew called him Andy. I didn't know any of that. I just went there to meet him, and when he walked into the room where we were supposed to meet, I screamed, Jim Carrey! And everyone said, no! Call him Andy. And I didn't understand. And then he came over and he was acting weird. I didn't know he was acting like Andy Kaufman. Just like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, hello. Andy? Now, in hindsight, how fucking lucky am I that I got to see one of the greatest artists of my time immersed in one of his most challenging processes ever. Very lucky to have seen that. But as it was happening, I was very disappointed. Because I wanted to meet Jim Carrey, and I had to pretend this nigga was Andy Kaufman all afternoon. And he was clearly Jim Carrey. I could look at him and I could see he was Jim Carrey. Anyway, I say all that to say, that's how trans people make me feel.
He spins a yarn about meeting Jim Carrey during Man on the Moon, hyped to see his idol, only to get stuck with Andy Kaufman, thanks to Carrey's deep method acting. The letdown, having to call Jim Andy all day, morphs into a sly metaphor. That's how trans people make me feel. It's a bold leap, blending a funny anecdote with a hot button issue. Chappelle's confusion mirrors his broader beef with woke culture, being forced to play along with something he doesn't fully grasp. This ties back to section 1 by showing how personal freedom, here just wanting to meet Jim, gets hijacked by external rules.
Big difference between her and a trans. The difference between her and a trans is I believe transgenders. I don't understand them either, but I know they mean what they say. Them niggas cut their dicks off. That's all the proof I need. I've never seen somebody just throw their dick away. Don't need it.
Echoing the identity theme, Chappelle contrasts Rachel Dolezal, a white woman claiming blackness, with trans folks, admitting he doesn't get either but respects trans sincerity. After all, they cut their dicks off. The shock value of, oh, never seen somebody just throw that dick away, lands the laugh while nodding to their commitment. Unlike his Jim Carrey frustration, here he offers grudging admiration amid the confusion. The connection to segment 2 lies in his ongoing wrestle with identity shifts, whether it's Carrey as Kaufman or gender transitions, highlighting woke culture's push for acceptance that he finds both baffling and fascinating. Chappelle zooms in on the LGBTQ+ community, dubbing them alphabet people, and spinning a hilarious allegory to expose their disunity, a cornerstone of his woke critique.
You know, you hear all those letters together all the time, LBGT, LBGT, and you think it's just one big movement. It's not. All those letters are their own movement. They just travel in the same car together. And my guess is
he paints the alphabet people as passengers in a car. G's, gays driving, L's, lesbians shotgun, B's, bisexuals, and T's, trans in the back. The G's, he says, steer thanks to their savvy, white men who built these roads. But toss shade at the L's with quips like, wouldn't wear that. It's a riotous take on internal squabbles, shredding the myth of a unified woke front. This flows from section 2's identity focus, expanding it into a group dynamic where woke culture's cohesion crumbles under scrutiny.
The G's are driving that car. That makes sense to me, because there's white men in the G's. And these people are trying to get around discrimination and oppression. And you know how white dudes are. We know these roads. In fact, we built these roads. The rest of you buckle up. We'll get you to where you want to go. So the G's are just driving the car. Of course, next to the G's in the passenger seat is the L's. Everybody likes the L's, except for the G's. I don't know what that's about. I just know the G's don't like them that much. And the G's always say like little subliminal digs on them. It's unnecessary shit. It's not mean, but you know what I mean? They just be like, I wouldn't wear that.
The car ride rolls on, with Chappelle spotlighting GL tension, those subtle digs, and their shared disdain for the B's, who come off greedy with their I'll fuck anybody in this car vibe. The chaos escalates, each letter a mini movement, clashing in tight quarters. This builds on segment 6's foundation, zooming into specific rivalries to drive home his point. Woke culture's unity is a sham. His knack for turning petty spats into comedy gold keeps the critique sharp and entertaining.
There's one thing that the L's and the G's agree on, is that the B's are fucking gross. They seem greedy to the L's and the G's, you know what I mean? They're just sitting in the backseat like, yeah, man, I'll fuck anybody in this car. What's going on, man? And sitting next to the B's, all the way in the backseat by themselves, looking out the window. That's the T's. Everybody in the car respects the T's, but everyone also resents the T's. It's not the T's fault, but everyone in the car just feels like the T's are making the trip take longer. Anything the T's say gets on everybody's nerves. And then the T's don't even say anything bad. They just be in the back talking to themselves. I'm hot. Shut up. Shut the fuck up, okay? Just roll the window down, you bitch. I don't know what you... What? Just said I was hot. Could you pull over at the next exit? I need to use the restroom. There is not a restroom for you for 4 states, nigga. Will you just shut the fuck up so we can get where we're going?
The T's take center stage as the car's whiny backseat drivers. I'm hard. Pull over, earning respect but also resentment for making the trip take longer. Chappelle's mock irritation, shut the fuck up, seals the ideal, painting them as the woke crew's Achilles heel. This caps the car saga from segments 6 and 15, tying it all together. The alphabet people are a fractured mess, and he's the outsider laughing at the pileup. It's a direct hit at woke culture's sanctimonious front. Chappelle broadens his scope, tackling equality and gender with absurd scenarios that poke holes in woke ideals of fairness.
When I watch sports, I be thinking about, think about, okay, say LeBron James changed his gender. You know what I mean? Okay, can he stay in the NBA, or, because he's a woman, does he have to go to the WNBA where he will score 840 points a game?
He dreams up LeBron James switching genders. Could he stay in the NBA or dominate the WNBA with 840 points a game? The over-the-top stat is pure Chappelle, using absurdity to question how woke equality holds up in practice. And this shifts from Section 3's group dynamics to systemic issues, challenging the practical side of gender rules in sports, a fresh angle on woke culture's rigidity.
And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey, everybody, I'm Chinese! And everyone get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside.
Caitlyn Jenner enters the fray, praised as wonderful, but teased for outshining women without even having a period. Chappelle's mix of admiration and mockery questions what womanhood means under woke rules. This flows from Segment 8's equality riff, narrowing it to gender identity and exposing the gaps in woke definitions with a sly grin. Chappelle wraps up by flipping identity confusion into personal gags, reclaiming his right to laugh at the woke world's sacred taboos.
Because I didn't come up with this idea on my own, this idea that a person can be born in the wrong body, but they have to admit that's a fucking hilarious predicament. It's really fucking funny. If it happened to me, you'd laugh, wouldn't you? That wouldn't be funny if it happened to me? I think it would be. What if it did? What if I was Chinese, but born in this nigger body? That's not funny.
He imagines himself born in the wrong body. A Chinese soul in a black man's frame. The premise is hilarious. It's really fucking funny. And he challenges the audience. Wouldn't you laugh if it were me? This ties back to Section 4's gender play, but now it's personal, flipping woke's serious tone into a self-deprecating jest that dares us to lighten up.
And for the rest of my life, I had to go around making that face. Hey, everybody, I'm Chinese! And everyone get mad. Stop making that face. That's offensive. What? This is how I feel inside.
The bit rolls on as Chappelle acts out his Chinese life, making faces and shrugging off critics. This is how I feel inside. It's a masterstroke, lampooning woke sensitivity by claiming his own truth. The link to segment 13 is seamless. He's testing the same logic others use, showing how ridiculous it gets when the rules apply to him. His defiance shines here, a middle finger to woke censorship.
That white black bitch that's in the news all the time. Rachel Dozer. She always says that. She's a white woman, but then she dressed up like a nigga and shot her way up to the very top of blackness. And I always wanted to meet her just so I could understand. I just wanted to like have dinner with her so I could just look in her eyes and call her a nigger to her face.
Rachel Dolezal pops up. He wants to meet her, stare into her eyes, and drop an N-bomb to understand. It's outrageous, tying to segment 14's identity riff by taking it from hypothetical to real-world audacity. Chappelle's curiosity meets provocation. Vibe skewers woke culture's obsession with mutable identities, keeping the laughs edgy and raw.
I feel bad for teens, but they're so confusing. And it's not all my fault. I feel like they need to take some responsibility for my jokes.
He tosses sympathy to teens lost in this mess. It's so confusing. Then dodges blame. Not all my fault. It's a sly pivot connecting to the identity chaos of prior segments, while suggesting woke culture itself breeds the confusion. He's mocking. His faux innocence ties it all back to his core gripe. He's just the messenger, not the culprit. Dave Chappelle destroys woke culture is more than comedy. It's a demolition derby tearing through the sanctimonious clutter of modern dogma, from shattering showbiz taboos to mocking the alphabet people. Questioning equality and turning identity into a punchline, Chappelle leaves no woke stone unturned. Each segment builds on the last, weaving a tapestry of rebellion that's as thought-provoking as it is hilarious. He doesn't just poke at woke culture, he obliterates it, daring us to laugh at the ruins and ask, is this progress? Or just a sanctimonious circus? With razor-sharp wit and unapologetic swagger, Chappelle proves he's the wrecking ball woke culture never saw coming.